I think the best quarterback wide receiver duo is to me Tua Tagovailoa with Tyreek Hill. I just think, I mean, the brother is something special, and that ain't gonna be enough. I don't think that's gonna be enough. That's just how I feel about it. You need more than that. Obviously, I think you obviously got to have a big time defense. I don't think a team devoid of a big time defense is going to be able to get it done unless you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. I look at the various teams in the AFC conference. You just look at, again, you look at Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson, you look at Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, you look at Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase and all these guys. Not that they don't have a chance or whatever. I'm just simply saying I don't know if that's going to be definitively enough. You being the quarterback, you having that number one receiver. Of course, Mahomes with Travis Kelce. They've proven that they could get it done with the play caller of Andy Reid. I'm just of the mindset that you need to be a more complete package. That's all. I'm not saying that that's not going to matter because obviously it matters very, very much so. I just think you need more than that. When I think about Tua and Tyreek Hill, I think about how spectacular that can be, but I don't think that's going to be enough, and that's why I'm answering the question that way.
Stephen A., you know what I don't like? You know what I don't like when you get on here and you're like, for this segment, I'm going to come out here and make some sense. I'm going to tell the people the things that make a good football team. Stephen A., we all know that you need a good defense and that football takes a complete game in order to win. That's why you bring me and Dan on. If we could just say, hey, if you have this, then you can win a championship, me and Dan would not have a job.
So y'all
accusing
me of being Captain Obvious. Y'all accusing me of being Captain Obvious?
You are stating the obvious. Yes. Okay. What you should have said is this, Stephen A. Okay. What you should have said is it doesn't necessarily have to be the best duo, but you need to have one, right? Correct. Like Cooper Kupp, when he won the Triple Crown, was the best wide receiver in ball. You put him with Matthew Stafford, who is an absolutely phenomenal talent, understands the game from every perspective. That team plays in the Super Bowl. The team on the other side had Joe Burrow, right, and Jamar Chase, who were absolute studs as well. You got to have one. Who the best one is, it's subjective, especially when we're talking about duo, because we can basically say if you got Patrick Mahomes, somebody with 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 hands that can run around and catch a football, that could possibly be the best duo every year because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Hell, we can't necessarily quantify which one. You think Tyreek Hill. I know you don't think Tua is the best quarterback in ball, but you think Tyreek Hill is the most explosive wide receiver. Period, point blank, you better have somebody. And it's more important than a rushing game. Jalen Hurts had A.J. Brown. Also, Devontae Smith. We know Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. It's not about having the person or the duo. It's about having one that is competent and that can compete with the other top-tier duos in the league. And then, of course, Stephen A., you need the rest of the team. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I see now why ESPN can't make any first take decisions without you. Sheesh.
Look at his face.
You know something? I'm going to let that slide. I'm going to let that slide because this is the preseason. RC, no, he doesn't start.
Not the preseason.
It's the preseason to me. It's the preseason to me. It's the preseason. Until the regular season game is played. Until the regular season game is played, it's the preseason. That's how I feel about it. Let me tell you something. RC done started something. See, RC going to get himself in trouble now. You know what I'm saying? RC going to get himself in trouble. He know he's going to get himself in trouble. I'm just letting it go. I'm going to take it all now. I'm going to let it wind. I'm going to let you do something. I'm going to let you get your take into. I'm going to make sure of it. Y'all don't understand what y'all doing, but it's okay. It's okay. Y'all can come at me now. I can take it, but I'm coming for y'all, and I got 17 weeks to do it.
You created monsters.
It's cool. It's cool, though. It's all right. It's all right.
This is what I've learned.
Monsters.
Okay.
Hey, guys, Dan, this is what we do know. This is what we do know. As Stephen A. is doing things, pulling from other shows are also taking pages out of Stephen A.'s book. But we ain't going to talk about that today. That's right. Maybe that's the time for like a podcast conversation. That's a podcast conversation.
If only we knew someone that had a podcast. We could discuss anything.
All right. To RC's point, you can't make the Super Bowl without it. If we were going to talk to the only top duo that hasn't been there, or elite duo that hasn't been there, is Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Kirk Cousins and JJ probably in that conversation as well. But if you go to If we took the top 5 or 6 duos, we're talking Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Burrow, Chase, Allen, Diggs, Mahomes, and Kelsey, and A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts. They're 97 and 40 in the last 2 seasons. The only 2 to not get there is Josh Allen and Diggs, and the only reason they didn't was Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey did the unthinkable, and then Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. So really, like the top or the elite quarterback wide receiver duos get to Super Bowls. The only one that hasn't is Josh Allen and Diggs. My only issue with
what you said, you alluded to Kirk Cousins and greatness in the same sentence. Did you do that?
That's the second time in 2 segments
you do that? Did you do that? I'm just saying. You did, that's
what Kirk and Justin did, though.
That's elite duo. I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is a top 6 quarterback, but him and Justin Jefferson are top 6 duo at worst.
Listen, I don't blame Justin Jefferson for anything.
I have a question for you, Dan. Dan, I have a question for you. You know, in talking about the duos that haven't gone to the Super Bowl, mentioning Josh Allen, mentioning Justin Jefferson, speak a little bit to why you don't think it ever worked out for Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, who as a duo, I think had the longest reign as the duo of the top player at the wide receiver position and quarterback at the same time.
All of that. The flip side to that is that Lamar Jackson has been hurt the last 2 years. And so if the Baltimore Ravens are extremely cautious because they don't want something else to happen, I can understand that. I just think that if you're Lamar Jackson, even though we've seen him continue to grow and throw the football at times exceptionally well, his claim to fame has been his running ability from the quarterback position. We know how electrifying he could be in that regard, but we also look at the pure passes in this game, like the Mahomes, like the Joe Burrows and others, and we say there's some room for growth with Lamar Jackson. And anytime you're out on the field throwing in real situations, that's something that conceivably would benefit you. It's not a real concern. I understand where everybody's coming from in terms of Baltimore not letting him play because of his injury history, but it would have been nice to see him out there throwing for a few possessions. That's all.
I remain adamant. I think every quarterback should play in the preseason. I think every guy should, especially in a year where, if we're just specifically talking the AFC, if you fall behind, because the conference is so deep, it's going to be really difficult to catch up. We say this every year, that every game is so important. I don't know if it's ever been truer. And so I understand the points of, like, fear of injury or whatnot, but I think, like, if Patrick Mahomes is playing as much as he is in the preseason and has for the majority of his career, and he usually takes off and starts seasons on fire, we should all be paying a little bit of attention to that. So it's not perfect. Everyone is individually different and given the situations. But I always believe, or I'm at the point where I believe quarterbacks should play in the preseason, not only for themselves, but everybody else. So Lamar Jackson, I would have loved to have seen him play just to get a feel for being in and out of the huddle in a game situation with a new offense, be in the huddle and out of in a game situation with Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr., because he hasn't. Even Rashad Bateman hasn't had a ton of snaps with Lamar Jackson in those situations. So I'm not concerned about it, but I sit here and I say, in a year that the division is loaded and the conference is loaded, you don't want to start slow in any capacity. And the only way really to negate the potential or minimize it is by playing. And so, concerned, no. I'm disappointed that he didn't get some real snaps.
Yeah, I think it's not concerning because Lamar Jackson has only been successful. We've never watched Lamar Jackson throughout a season and felt like when he was healthy and when he was available, he wasn't able to produce. But let's look at what the New York Jets did. New York Jets have a new quarterback. They have a new coordinator. They at least wanted those guys to get some sort of chemistry or learn at least what a day or a game day is like with Aaron Rodgers, what it sounds like in the huddle, what's the communication at the line of scrimmage when we're playing against different colors in stadiums. And so I think that all those things are important, especially when you consider you have a brand new offensive coordinator. What's the communications on the headsets going to be like? You have all these different new pieces at the skill positions. How will they get the audibles? How will they receive the adjustments? And also just Lamar Jackson operating in what he'll be asked to do now inside of a stadium before it's for all the marbles. So for me, I would have loved to see him out there. I would have loved to see him grasp and take control of this. And let's be honest about this part. Think about how much confidence the Green Bay Packers have gained in Jordan Love and how he can run the Matt LaFleur offense simply based on what he did throughout this preseason. I think just a little bit of that would have been good for the Baltimore Ravens to enter the season on, having seen Lamar Jackson run this offense, control this offense, and kind of move through it, maneuver through it inside of a stadium against another team.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.